नहीं बता सकते, अब बिना कैलेंडर के आज डेट नहीं बता सकते हैं, पर हमारा वो जन समुदाय, वो अनपढ़ महिला जो लास्ट आज जिसको हम अनपढ़ कहते हैं, उस दृष्टि से भी देखे, अंतिम व्यक्ति तक चंद्रमा देख करके तिथि बता सकता था, सूर्य देख करके वार बता सकता था, नक्षत्र देख करके वह आज कौन सा मास है यह बता सकता था। कोई पेपर वर्क नहीं है।
Co-presented by
Hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. The politicking surrounding the Ram Mandir has now taken another turn. While the opposition top brass from Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, Arvind Kejriwal, they've all rejected the invitation to the Pran Pratishtha ceremony on the 22nd of January. They have now announced their own cultural programs in the run-up to and on that day. Parties which have lambasted the BJP for playing politics over religion are now going to hold nationwide pujas and bhajan programs and even harmony rallies in a bid to try and match the scale of the Pran Pratishtha. And that, of course, the opposition says is going to be a Modi affair, it's going to be a BJP affair, and that's why they are boycotting. But the question does emerge. Are these political attacks against the BJP giving away to a certain sense of political pragmatism, competitive Ram Niti by the opposition parties as they realize that they cannot shun Ram, and that too this close to a general election? But first, the story.
महात्मा गांधी कहते थे कि राम राज्य का विचार ही सच्चे लोकतंत्र का विचार है। राम राज्य यानी एक ऐसा लोकतंत्र जहां हर नागरिक की आवाज सुनी जाती थी और उसे उचित सम्मान मिलता था।
the RSS and the BJP have made the 22nd January function a completely political Narendra Modi function.
আমরা একটা র্যালি করব এবং আমি তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের পক্ষ থেকে এই র্যালিটা করব। যারা শুভানুধ্যায়ী, যারা সাধারণ মানুষ, তারাও আসতে পারেন সংহতি মিছিলে।
किसी भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को सुंदरकांड जैसे अच्छे कार्यक्रम से एतराज़ नहीं होना चाहिए। अगर वो इस पे एतराज़ कर रहे हैं तो ये गलत बात है।
So here's what the opposition's alternate plan is for January 22nd. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, he said this during part of his Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra. He's likely to attend a puja at the Shiv Dham in Guwahati on that day, on the 22nd of January. The Congress, in addition to that, will also be organizing puja functions across various state units across the country. The Aam Aadmi Party has announced Sundar Kand as well as Hanuman Chalisa programs across Delhi on the 22nd. The Sundar Kand and the Hanuman Chalisa programs will happen across 2,500 locations. Mamata Banerjee is going to be leading a Sarv Dharm or communal harmony rally in Kolkata on that day. The Sarv Dharm rally will include multiple faith leaders, not just Hindu leaders, but Muslim and Christian and others as well. Communal harmony rally will be extended to all blocks across Bengal. Uddhav Thackeray of the Shiv Sena will be offering prayers at the Ram Mandir in Panchvati in Nashik. The invitation has been sent to President Murmu to attend that puja as well. So the question then is, on the one hand, the Congress says they're not going to go to the Pran Pratishtha because it's a Modi show, it's a BJP show, and yet at the same time, they are now in this competitive politics to try and appropriate Ram. Why do this balancing act when you are likely to fall between two stools? Joining us now, full panel tonight. Anila Singh is spokesperson of the BJP, Siddharth Sharma is spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Dr. Shantanu Sen, Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament of the TMC, Sriraj Nair is spokesperson of the VHP, and Sumansi Raman, political analyst, joining us. Let me start with you, Mr. Shantanu Sen. You know, the invitation was sent to most political party leaders, Congress leaders, TMC leaders, other leaders were given the invitation. You have, on the one hand, chosen to frame the January 22nd Pran Pratishtha as a Modi program, a BJP program for the personal aggrandizement of the Prime Minister and his political party. Fair enough, nobody has a quibble with that. Having declined that invitation for reasons that I just mentioned, now to try and appropriate Ram, whether it is pujas that the Congress party is doing, Sundar Kand that the Aam Aadmi party is organizing, or even what Mamata Banerjee is organizing, the Sarv Dharm rally in Kolkata. I mean, you are trying to play the BJP's game, but you don't want to play it on their turf.
See, Trinamool Congress never plays religion card in politics. It's only the Madam Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, the only lady Chief Minister of the country, who always speaks about dovetailing of religion, who always speaks about Sarva Dharma Samanvay, and who speaks that religion must be your own identity, but whenever there is any festival, the festival belongs to all of us. And it's only Madam Mamata Banerjee who works for development irrespective of any caste, creed and religion in our state of West Bengal. You tell me one thing, it is absolutely a political gimmick being done by the publicity master, Mr. Narendra Modi, our landed Prime Minister. What is being said by the Shankaracharyas of our country, who are the preachers of Hindu Dharma? They are saying it's nothing but a madcap attitude. They have categorically said it. If you consider the temple as the house of God, then temple is the body and the God is the soul. When the body is not fully prepared, how can you install the soul, number one? Number two, which mythology, which constitution, which epic has given the right to our Prime Minister to install God in that particular temple, which is actually is not the duty of Prime Minister? What has been said by the Shankaracharyas. Okay. Why on 22nd of January? It's absolutely a pre-poll gimmick, because Narendra Modi and BJP knows it very well. They are far away so far the developmental issue is concerned. So now they are in a mood to play this religion card. But this time, this is not going to work.
No, but that
This is not
last
going to
argument,
bring
Dr.
any
Shantanu
result.
Sen, can be held against the TMC also. You are also doing the Sarv Dharma Samanay on that same day. You can do it today, you can do it next month, you can do it after the Lok Sabha election. The reason you are doing it is because you don't want all the limelight to go to Mr. Modi and to the Pran Pratishtha.
Sir.
Otherwise, why are you
There is a
doing it
big
on
difference.
January 22nd? What is the significance
There
of
is a
January
big difference.
22nd?
There is a big difference. Just give me 10 seconds time. On 6th of December 1992, on the very day of Babri Mosque demolition, two ladies were found on the city of Joy on the ground in the city of Joy, Calcutta, in our state of West Bengal, carrying the message of dovetailing of religion and communal harmony. One was Madam Mamata Banerjee, and the other was our very own, very respected late Mother Teresa. Where were these BJP leaders at that point of time? Mamata Banerjee was there also with the message of communal harmony.
Okay.
Mamata Banerjee is still there
Anila
with the message
Singh,
of communal
so
harmony.
please respond to what Dr. Shantanu Sen is saying. It's a Modi show. The Shankaracharyas have opposed it. Why should the Prime Minister be the Yajman for the Pran Pratishtha of Ram Lalla? You know, these are questions that not just political parties are asking, even religious leaders are asking.
My Ram Ram to all, and I think TMC, Member of Parliament, he should refresh his knowledge. First of all, he should go and check that what Shankaracharyas have said. Are they against the 22nd function of Pran Pratishtha? What is their statement? He should go and check it before making statement here, because he is sitting on a constitutional post, and he must realize this thing, that whatever he is saying on the behalf of the government, and he is representing a constituency as well. And secondly, like he just gave an example that temple is a body, and murti inside it after Pran Pratishtha is a soul. You are absolutely correct, sir. When you talk about the body and the soul, you must know this thing, that when a fetus comes in the 4th month, soul enters into it, and from embryo it becomes the fetus. So if you do not have proper knowledge about the spiritual or the athatmic or the scientific or whatsoever you want to say it about a subject, then you should not quote that example here on the national channel. And if he says that why Pradhan Mantri, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is going there, why he is participating in the puja, then I must ask him why he shouldn't be. He is an elected Prime Minister of Bharat. Why he shouldn't go? Why he should follow the example of Chacha Nehru, who was so much against Sanatan, who was so much against Hindu and Hindutva. Similarly, Mamata Banerjee, we know that how against she is Sanatan. Once, like it was shown on the national television and each and every television, electronic media, social media, when some people had said Jai Shri Ram in front of her, she got so agitated. What drama she is trying to play here? I am not going to comment on that whether these political leaders, they are going to participate in Pran Pratishtha function or not. It is their faith, it is their trust in Bhagwan Shri Ram.
Okay.
When they are Ravana Premi, and how can they go and participate in Pran Pratishtha function? Everybody knows that how they have targeted Ram Lalla temple's construction.
Aam Aadmi Party. Just a week before the Pran Pratishtha, today you have announcement from the Delhi government about Sundarkand, you have announcement about Hanuman Chalisa. Again, the same argument is being extended to Arvind Kejriwal. In fact, Mr. Owaisi said that Aam Aadmi Party is in competitive Hinduism with BJP and RSS. Aam Aadmi Party chota recharge hai, BJP RSS bada recharge hai.
Yeah, Zaka, a small correction here. Sundarkand has been happening in Delhi for the last 4 years. The only difference is today 2,500 plus places Ramayana recital took place. Now why this happened? Because for the first time in Indian culture, the host of a program, the Prime Minister here, tweeted asking devotees not to come on 22nd to avoid overcrowding. Now, don't you think that millions of devotees need to pay their respects to Lord Ram? Hence, that is the reason why these 2,500 Ramayana recitals took place in Delhi today. Now,
No, but
Ramayana
Mr.
is a
Sharma, that doesn't explain why it didn't happen last month or the month before
I'll
that,
tell you.
or why
No,
this was
that-
not part
I
of
think-
your
I think
campaign manifesto.
I think I
Suddenly, 1
answered-
week before, you have decided to expand it to 2,500 locations. Why?
The expansion took place because it was happening in 70 of the Vidhan Sabha for the last 4 years. But since the last 1 year, since we are also in MCD, we have started doing it at the ward level, around 8 or 9 places in every ward. Having said that, Ramayana is a matter of faith for us. Nobody can ask questions, why are you conducting Ramayana? Now, Ram Rajya, on the other hand, is a very concrete subject. It speaks about universal education. It speaks about universal health care. Under Aam Aadmi Party, they are a reality because the per capita income of a Delhiite today at 4.5 lakh rupees is more than the average Indian's per capita income of 2 lakh 75,000 rupees.
Okay.
The average age, life expectancy of a Delhiite is 75 years compared to 66 years if you are living next to Delhi in, say, Noida. In Punjab, the crime rate is coming down as per the National Crime Record Bureau. The MSPs are being given to the farmers.
This is not a program assessing the record of state governments, including that of the Aam Aadmi Party. This is about, why opposition parties, on the one hand, are rejecting going to the Pran Pratishtha ceremony, and at the other hand, are trying to do this competitive religiosity. Let me ask Suman.
I think the BJP has to answer that first. They have to ensure that the Shankaracharya come, politicians
but Mr. Sharma, BJP is not holding pujas on 22nd at Shivdham in Guwahati and Sarvam Sabha in Kolkata. No, that is being done by members of your alliance, the India Alliance. Let me ask Sumant Raman, please, with your permission. 1 second. Mr. Sharma, please yield. Please yield. Let's go to Sumant Raman. Sumant Raman, the contradiction is this. Look, when the Congress party decided to boycott the Pran Pratishtha ceremony, I said, forget about the religion, the spirituality. Politically, even politically speaking, there is nothing to gain by boycotting such a thing. In fact, by boycotting it, A, you've given, the BJP a handle by saying, you're anti-Hindu, the Congress party has always been anti-Hindu. And B, for devotees, millions of Ram Bhaks across this country, the fact that there is no Congress representative in the audience when this Pran Pratishtha happens sends out a very wrong message. It's like rejecting Ram. Now, having done that, now to do the puja in Shivdham, to do puja Sarvam Sabha in Kolkata, I mean, it's like playing catch up. And when a political party is playing catch up, the voters are always going to say, if I have the OG, I'll vote for the OG. Why am I going to vote for a pretender?
Zaka, I think that this entire thing has been very poorly thought through by the India Alliance. If on principle they felt that what was happening or what is going to happen on 22nd was a political event, then if they are planning to boycott it, then they should have stayed that way. Now, yesterday you have Supriya Shrinate going there, you have Ajay and the UP Congress leaders going there and having a snan there in the Sarayu River. I mean, what kind of messages or signals are you sending out? Now, the easiest option for the Congress party and the India Alliance would have been to say, yes, we do not agree with the politicization of the event, but we will attend as a gesture of our belief and faith in Lord Ram. End of story. But instead of doing that, this ham-handed response where you are actually boycotting, but on the other hand, going overboard in your own states. Karnataka says, I don't know, thousands of temples, they will have special pujas. Yeah. Karnataka says that. So what is the signal that is actually going out? Now, boycotting this one event, and then some of them say, we will be going there before. There's apparently some plan for a set of leaders to go on 21st and not be there on 22nd. I don't know what signal they're sending out, Zaka, but I think that it's pretty muddled. They should have registered their protest as to what is clearly a politicization of the actual Pran Pratishtha ceremony, but they should have put in their attendance there so that they would not have to do this kind of competitive...
So Sriraj Nair, this muddled thinking that Sumansi Raman refers to, I think it's clear even when the new parliament building was inaugurated. On the one hand, the opposition boycotted the opening inauguration of the parliament, saying it's a religious function, the groundbreaking is not a secular thing, and in Parliament it has to be secular and so on. So they opposed that. They didn't show up for the inauguration, and then they said President was not invited, Prime Minister is doing it, all of that. And then in that same Parliament building, they're attending session after session. Now, this is what I come back to, this whole confused thinking. Either you're opposed in principle that, look, this is a avowedly asecular program and therefore we are not going to go for it, or you say, yes, we have opposition, as Dr. Raman said, we have opposition to, the Prime Minister hogging all the limelight, making this into a BJP function or whatever, but we will go because this is beyond the Prime Minister, this is beyond a government, this is about Lord Ram, and this is about millions of Ram bucks, and we're going to respect that.
Well, Zaka, it's really unfortunate that in forthcoming election to April 24, in fact, I think in February we'll have a code of conduct being announced by the Election Commission. That's what I feel. And the complete opposition is going to be wiped out. Because now all this drama they are doing, you yourself said, if they have to oppose, you have to oppose in totality. Now what are they trying to do? These are the people who roped in the best of the lawyers so that the Ram temple could not come in existence. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal quoted his nani, मेरी नानी ने कहा था ऐसी कोई मस्जिद को गिराकर वहां पर अगर मंदिर बनाया जाएगा तो क्या उसकी किसी की पूजा वहां कबूल होगी. That is what Arvind Kejriwal said. He was absolutely, and he is a very shrewd politician. Today he is seeing a space that most of the opposition are boycotting, so he is doing this drama and he has started sending pilgrims. And he himself, I think, as I read somewhere that he is also going for the Pran Pratishtha. Mamta ji is doing all this drama in Calcutta. Uddhav ji is visiting Nashik temple. So they are totally a confused lot. Either you oppose or you stand by it. Now these people, all this while, especially this secular alliance, they were damn against the Ram temple construction. They roped in the best of the lawyers, and they wanted to ensure the Ram temple does not come in existence. Now now this is purely gaslighting to seek some attention. And we say in English, success has many fathers, failures has none. So now Ram temple, only political party which had Ram temple in its manifesto was BJP. And definitely BJP is going to get the mileage, because the nation is rejoicing that that after 500 years of struggle, Ram Mandir is coming in existence during our own lifetime. The nation is rejoicing. So BJP is going to reap in some political benefits, because it had in its manifesto, and Ram Mandir, and they are the people behind. They struggled for Ram Mandir.
Okay.
So these people are a confused lot, and the problem is they are committing the similar mistake of appeasing Muslims. 2024, it's very unfortunate. It's an opposition-free parliament, or it's merely some 400, as it is, everybody is saying 400 par. Here, Ram Drohi opposition is going to be wiped out.
Dr. Shantanu Sen, right after the Chief Minister of Bengal announced this Sarv Dharm Sabha, Amit Malviya of the BJP tweeted out and he said that this is Mamta Banerjee trying to appease the Muslim community. She's lost some by-polls recently where these were constituencies that were heavily Muslim dominant, and this is her way of trying to appease the Muslim community. Please respond to that specific charge. Is there a fear that the Muslim vote bank of Mamta Banerjee is going back to the CPM, ISF, and therefore her need to have this Sarv Dharm Sabha?
See, Mamta Banerjee and Trinamool Congress never believe in appeasement politics. Once again, I have been repeating that Mamta Banerjee and our government does development for each and every religion, unlike Bharatiya Janata Party. But prior to that, I will be taking your 10 seconds time. Being a professional doctor, I am not here to learn medical science from my BJP spokesperson, number one. Number two, our learned Prime Minister has become so much publicity master. Now he wants his photograph on the back carrying a ration card. Can you believe it? Earlier we have seen him inaugurating the stadium in his own name. Now he wants his photo standing in each and every college, each and every university with a photograph of his at the back of it. Can you believe it? Why it was so hurry? He hardly finds any time to visit Manipur, which has been burning since last few months. Thousands of people have been murdered. Hundreds have been
No,
dead.
Dr. Sen, let's come back to the issue at hand. The issue at hand is the muddled thinking of the opposition. On the one hand, you're boycotting the Pran Pratishtha. On the other, you're in this race for competitive appropriation of Ram, competitive Ram Niti. Whether it's
Mamata
Congress,
Banerjee
TMC,
has
Aam Aadmi Party,
categorically
irrespective of that.
Mamata Banerjee, one second. Mamata Banerjee has categorically said in her press conference today that is not competition, it's not a counter event. As we are going to celebrate 23rd January as the Netaji's birthday, we are going to have a political rally on 22nd of January. Once again, I repeat, she has categorically mentioned neither it's a counter program nor is a program in protest of the same.
So, Anila saying, if I mean, all parties are well within their right to have whatever pujas they want to have. You can't stop political parties if they choose to have a puja. Yesterday, as Dr. Raman said, Congress landed up on Makar Sankranti and took a dip in the Saryu. You can't stop that. But to say that they are not Ram Bhaks or that they are anti-Ram, they are also showing their religiosity, just like you are showing your religiosity. On 22nd, entire BJP will be there for the Pran Pratishtha. You will display your religiosity. So then you can't blame Congress or Aam Aadmi Party or Trinamool Congress for displaying theirs.
See, it is not Bharatiya Janata Party who has to say anything about this confused opposition. They themselves have said so many times by their action and by their words. We know it very well, like Congress Party and all the political parties who share the same ideology, and the ideology is hatred for Bhagwa, hatred for Sanatan. They have always attacked BJP, RSS and all the allied organizations and institutions who always stood very strongly with the cause of getting Ram Mandir constructed in Ayodhya. As Mr. Nair mentioned very well, that it has always been in Bharatiya Janata Party's manifesto, और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के जो लीडर्स हैं उन्होंने गाली गोली, डंडा लाठी, investigation jail, everything has been borne by them. Can this be claimed by any of the political parties who are sitting in opposition and trying to do dramatics on 22nd of January? आप जो है मोदी भक्त के खिलाफ तो हो सकते हैं, आप मोदी भक्त को गुस्सा दिला सकते हैं, but what you will do with Ram Bhakts? Even the Muslim dominated countries, we find them to be Ram Bhakt. What you are going to do with them? This is your sheer hatred for Narendra Modi ji, and hating Narendra Modi ji, you have crossed the line. Now you are hating Bhagwan Shri Ram because you do not have any astha for Ram.
Siddharth
You're talking
Sharma,
about Ram Dharam.
The point that Sriraj Nair made about, there's an old clip of the Delhi Chief Minister talking about his nani saying that, जो मंदिर मस्जिद के ऊपर आएगा उसमें कबूल नहीं होगा. Please respond to that. That's Sriraj Nair's point. And secondly, Mr. Kejriwal, I think it was one of our Network 18 events before the 2020 election, sang the Hanuman Chalisa. But after that, you've forgotten about Hanuman, right? You revive religiosity and remembering Ram and Hanuman and Sundarkand only just before elections.
I don't think so. I'll not repeat myself because it's already on the record that we've been doing this Sundarkand part for the last 4 years. What the BJP spokesperson Anila ji just said holds very good to Joe Biden as well as Hindu Rishi Sunak, because they will also not be attending the consecration ceremony. Are Shankaracharya also villain in this because they are also not attending? Is she saying that here is a Vishwaguru whose own house is so divided that bona fide representatives of the religion are now not attending this program? So this binary is a very, very comical binary that BJP is trying to make. There is, if this would be so, if you pick up today's newspaper, most of the newspapers across India today carry a front page, full page advertisement of Jagannath Parikrama. Now, isn't it also true that people of Odisha are devotees of Jagannath, people of West Bengal are devotees of Kali, people of Delhi might be devotees of Sundarkand? Like I said, Ramayana is a matter of faith. Nobody can question that. Neither, just like nobody can question anybody's faith, you cannot question the faith of somebody has on Ramayana, and that is why 2,500 places today in Delhi, across
so
Delhi,
then by that logic, Mr. Sharma, you cannot question the Pran Pratishtha also, right? The Pran Pratishtha should happen.
Nobody is questioning anything.
Ram Lalla should come back to his abode.
Once it's a matter of faith, nobody is questioning any matter of faith. That's why I'm saying you cannot ask a question.
So then why are you saying it's a Modi show, it's a political thing, Shankaracharyas have opposed? You should welcome it.
Was that question to me?
Yeah,
please repeat
to you. You in the same breath, you're also saying that it's a political show, it's a Modi show, Shankaracharyas have opposed it. Those should not matter. No, if you've said it's a matter of faith, it should be welcomed. Pran Pratishtha is a matter of faith.
That's what I said. That's what is on record in my earlier statements. That this is the first time in Indian civilization that for such a historic occasion, the Prime Minister has tweeted to his millions of devotees of Lord Ram that please don't come on 22nd because they'll be overcrowded.
That is for a logistical reason, because obviously if millions of people are going to come to a small town like Ayodhya, it's going to explode. Anyway, let me ask Sumant Raman. What I'm curious to know, Dr. Raman, is how does the opposition play this? A, this is not their turf. Clearly, the BJP is stronger in this turf. And yet at the same time, there's going to be this, as somebody in our newsroom said, this is a national festival. This is a Rashtra Parv. You know, it's like not supporting the Indian cricket team when the Indian cricket team is going to win the World Cup, right? There's a fervor across this country. How does the opposition, on the one hand, not get completely swept away by this fervor, and yet at the same time ensure that the political dividends of it are not just restricted to the BJP?
Look, Zaka, to some extent, the political dividends of it, predominantly in the Hindi belt, will be limited to the BJP, irrespective of what the Congress party and the India alliance does. That is not going to change. The point is, can the damage or the fallout arising from their muddled position be contained, or can the damage be limited? Now, that is the question that the India alliance will have to ask themselves. And that is why you see all these frantic organizing of pujas in Delhi by the Aam Aadmi Party government and Congress governments in Karnataka and other places. So I think that essentially the opposition knows very clearly that the very fact that the BJP is going all out to make this as big an event as it is being made is itself clear proof that they want to take political mileage out of it. So very clearly, the opposition is going to be on the back foot.
Sriraj Nair, as Dr. Raman says, it's a question of containing how much political benefit will be drawn, and one of the arguments that's being put forward by the opposition is whatever political benefits there may be will be restricted by and large to northern India. In southern India, Ram is not the most popular god there, and therefore the appeal, political appeal, will be limited. How would you counter that? How would you respond to that?
Dear Zaka, I come from Kerala. I belong to Kerala. The village where I come from, we have more than 1,000-year-old Ram temple. In Thrissur, you can Google it. It's a place called Tiruvella Mela. Now, BJP, it's not only northern Bharat, the southern Bharat, eastern Bharat, the western Bharat, everywhere. Right now in Mumbai, right from the hutments, the jhopadpattis to the high-rise building, our Karyakartas went on to distribute Akshat which came from Ayodhya. Everyone was rejoicing. Even the corporate houses, they were calling us that we want Akshat. So everywhere, everybody is in high spirit because the 500-year-old struggle is over and a grand temple is coming at the birthplace of Lord Ram. Now these people, as I said, they were always against the Ram temple. Mr. Kejriwal is a person, especially, he said, मैं अपने बच्चे की कसम खाता हूँ, मैं politics में कभी नहीं आऊँगा. He came in politics. He said, his Nani said that the temple, if it is built on a destroyed mosque, why should I go and pray? He is going to go for the Pran Pratishtha, and he is organizing all this Sundarkand to hide his liquor gate kand and his Hawala kand and all these kands. He is doing this Sundarkand. So, do you think that people are fools? Everybody knows half of his cabinet is in jail, and he himself is being summoned by the ED. So, this is all political. It is not the BJP which is playing politics on Ram Temple. It is a failed opposition. It is a confused opposition who knows now nothing is left other than appeasement politics.
Does the VHP spokesperson say that BJP today is idolizing Mr. Vishbhushan Sharan Singh and dumping the Shankaracharya? And how can they take the name of Ram then if what he says is true about Arvind Kejriwal? How come BJP is idolizing Mr. Vishbhushan?
I have to leave it at that. My time is up on debate one. I want to thank all our guests, but we'll see. I guess there will be more politics in the run-up to the 22nd of January, but clearly the opposition is caught in a difficult position where on the one hand, for whatever reason, whatever their political thinking was, they decided not to go for the Pran Pratishtha, yet at the same time, they are now trying to play catch-up in this display of religiosity, if you will, in the fervor that seems to have gripped the country ahead of the Pran Pratishtha and the inauguration of the Ram Temple on Monday. But we're going to move on to another interesting development that's happened overnight and overseas, in fact. A deep dive into the US presidential elections. Donald Trump has won the Iowa caucuses in a landslide margin. He's left his nearest rivals, Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, in a distant second and third place. With more and more contests ahead in the next few weeks. Next week there's going to be New Hampshire. Next month there's going to be South Carolina. And there is Super Tuesday in the first week of March. Has Donald Trump revitalized his dominance in the Republican Party? Has the emphatic nature of the victory in Iowa once again said that the only person who's going to come from the Republican camp as a challenger to Joe Biden will be Donald Trump? That's the explainer first, and then after that we will be speaking to a CNN reporter as well to try and make sense. Donald J. Trump won the Iowa caucuses in a landslide Monday night. He secured more than 50% of the vote, which is a record in the history of the caucuses. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida secured a critical but distant second-place finish. He got a little over the fifth of the vote. This in a state in which he had invested heavily in his political future. Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, came in a disappointing third place, just behind DeSantis, but far below expectations. She also polled a little under a fifth of the vote. Her final tally showed that the hype around her campaign, particularly in the last few weeks, could not survive an extremely conservative electorate in Iowa. Trump won even in Iowa's bastions. College-educated Republicans around Des Moines, the capital, and also in Iowa City, the second biggest city in the state. These were areas where Nikki Haley was expected to dominate. Trump also won in the extremely red and rural parts of the state, where DeSantis was said to be more popular amongst the evangelical Christians. Vivek Ramaswamy, the wealthy tech entrepreneur, finished fourth. He later suspended his campaign, throwing his support behind Donald Trump. Trump was declared the winner just about half an hour after the ballots began to be cast. After the race was called, Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, and DeSantis, the governor of Florida, swapped positions between 1 and 2. Eventually, DeSantis won second and Haley got third. DeSantis had his neck slightly above Haley's, thereby keeping the rest of his campaign alive.
This has been an incredible experience. The people have been, this is the third time we've won, but this is the biggest win. They said, well, if you win by 12%, that's a big win. That's going to be very hard to do. Well, I think we've more than doubled that, I guess, tripled it maybe.
Trump's overwhelming victory has once again demonstrated the kind of enduring command that he has got with the Republican Party base. Both DeSantis and Haley put together could not match Trump's tally, as Trump polled more than 1 out of 2 Iowan Republicans. But for DeSantis and Haley, their close finish gave both of them a rationale for continuing with their campaigns. The fact that both of them will continue through onto New Hampshire and then South Carolina, that only is going to likely help Trump. The contest now turns to New Hampshire. It's a much more moderate state, both in temperature as well as in temperament. Polls in New Hampshire show Nikki Haley leading Trump, but a lot can change in a week. After so many months of attacks between her and DeSantis, the old political trope held true in Iowa. In 2024, there are 3 tickets out of Iowa: Trump, DeSantis, and Haley, although Trump has ridden away in a bullet train. As his rivals spent weeks campaigning across the state, Trump flew into Iowa just about a few dozen times. Key Republican figures in the state, including Governor Kim Reynolds and top evangelical leaders, endorsed DeSantis and Haley. Yet, by the time the full results were in and Trump took the stage for his victory speech, he had won in 98 out of the state's 99 counties. Trump's sweep of the Iowa caucuses was broad and it was deep. He outperformed DeSantis in conservative strongholds, including in the northwestern part of the state. That part is home to many evangelical voters as well as rural folks. Even in more moderate suburban counties surrounding the capital Des Moines, which were considered more favorable terrain for Nikki Haley, Trump won, even though the margins in those urban constituencies and semi-urban constituencies was much tighter. Trump eventually won the state with a margin of over 12 percentage points. That is the biggest recorded in a competitive Republican presidential race in Iowa. The former president finished at 51% of the votes, DeSantis got 21, and Haley 19. This was the biggest victory for any Republican candidate in the history of Iowa. Though he edged out Haley for second, it is hard to see a clear path forward for Ron DeSantis. It is unclear how long and how much money he will have to forge ahead. DeSantis had staked a lot of his campaign on Iowa. He had promised more than once on the campaign trail that he would definitely win in Iowa. DeSantis checked every box that would usually be required to carry the state. He visited all 99 counties, he stopped by at tiny towns and at pubs, he took questions from locals and the press there. He won over Governor Kim Reynolds, who is the incumbent Republican governor of the state. His super PAC, in fact, spent tens of millions of dollars on a door-knocking program that was unmatched by any of its rivals.
They were writing our obituary months ago. They even called the election before people even got a chance to vote. But they were just so excited about the fact that they were predicting that we wouldn't be able to get our ticket punched here out of Iowa. But I can tell you, because of your support, in spite of all of that they threw at us, everyone against us, we've got our ticket punched out of Iowa.
He tried to run to the right of Donald Trump. He portrayed Trump as not being conservative enough. And that strategy of Ron DeSantis failed in Iowa. There were simply not enough Republicans who wanted to move on from Trump or who thought that anyone could be further right of Trump. In fact, as this campaign rolls on, DeSantis will now face much more moderate voters in the next state, New Hampshire. And in that state, he is polling sometimes in third and sometimes even in fourth place and is expected to lose pretty badly. The person who finished third, Nikki Haley, for most of the past year, she was polling single digits in Iowa. She had very little money and very little field organization. Nikki Haley finished closely behind DeSantis, just a little under the fifth of the vote. She consolidated the party's marginalized anti-Trump bloc. She cobbled together a coalition of college-educated Republicans, independents, and even some Democrats who were living in urban and suburban areas. She slaughtered DeSantis on television during the debates. Her super PAC ended up spending more than $20 million on attack ads against DeSantis. Nikki Haley would see more fertile ground in New Hampshire, where she must demonstrate that she can defeat Trump. Or at the very least, she can come close enough to defeating Trump. And that will be the only justification to keep her campaign alive. And then once we finish New Hampshire, it rolls in to her home state of South Carolina. That's in the third week of February. So the next two states are favorable to Nikki Haley. One critical factor for why she's done so well is that she's the only Republican in the field who's a woman, and she's taken a very strident position on abortion rights. She has outright rejected the Supreme Court turning down what was a long-standing and historic verdict for women's rights in Roe v. Wade.
Our campaign is the last best hope of stopping the Trump-Biden nightmare. But it's more than that. Republicans have lost the popular vote in 7 of the last 8 presidential elections. That's nothing to be proud of. We should want to earn the support of a majority of Americans.
Turnout in Iowa fell far short of the last contested Republican caucuses. That was back in 2016. Back in 2016, 8 years ago, nearly 180,000 Iowans helped choose their party's nominee. Trump that year had lost to Texas Senator Ted Cruz. This year, only about 100,000 plus people participated. Much of that is being attributed to the frigid weather and also a lack of drama and suspense in the campaign. A Trump win was an almost foregone conclusion. Trump is today far, far stronger than he was in 2016 or in 2020. Nationwide polls show that if today were election day, then Trump would defeat Biden anywhere between 2 to 7 percentage points. There is little doubt that Donald Trump has caused a major political realignment, not just within America, but perhaps more importantly, within the Republican Party. And Monday night, the Iowa caucuses showed the commitment of the Trump supporters. Many of them risked dangerous weather conditions. They ventured out only to back him once again at the ballot. There is also little doubt that this time around, his on-ground political operation is far more sophisticated, certainly far more than it was in 2016. A vast majority of Republican voters are likely to return to Trump in a general election. And if that were to happen in November, then it would be the mother of all comebacks in American politics. So it's been a big win for former President Donald Trump in the Iowa caucuses. He's polled more than 50% vote share there in the caucuses, which I believe is the biggest record for any Republican candidate in a competitive caucus in Iowa since records were kept. Joining me now to try and make sense of this win and where the campaign goes from here is Ivan Rodriguez. He's CNN correspondent live for us tonight from Des Moines in Iowa. Thank you very much, Ivan, for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. So a huge win for former President Donald Trump. More than 50% vote share, more than 1 out of 2 Iowan Republicans endorsed his candidacy for president, his shot to become president again. And I believe the largest winning margin in any competitive Republican caucus was about 12 percentage points. Trump's victory last night was 30 percentage points. What explains the emphatic nature of this win?
Well, that's exactly right. And it really goes to show just the ground game that was played by the Trump campaign. And when you really start to break down really where they were able to find some of that success, for one, they improved drastically from 2016. They were able to get a lot of different caucus goers. For example, they really excelled in the 65-year-old and older group with the white evangelicals. They also did very well, and also with just really pure conservative voters, they did really well. Especially the issues that mattered to Iowans the most were the economy and immigration, and the former president did exceedingly well in those two categories as well, gaining a high percentage of vote from Iowans.
Trump, as you said, was expected to do well in the rural conservative parts of Iowa, the north and the northwest of the state, but he also surprisingly did well in the urban and semi-urban pockets around Iowa City, around Des Moines, amongst college-educated young people, college-educated Republicans as well. So what explains that? The fact that he was able to bring both ends of the Republican voter base, both the conservative, evangelical Christian, rural folks, as well as the urban and semi-urban folks.
Well, it really goes to show, again, just the different mindset that the campaign had going in to this Iowa caucus, especially compared to 2016, where they really didn't do that well at all. And Ted Cruz came out with the win back then for the Iowa caucus in 2016. But the question now really is, how can they take what they accomplished here in Iowa and, let's say, transfer that to New Hampshire, to South Carolina, where the voter base is very different. In Iowa, we really are looking at a different Republican base when you compare it to New Hampshire, for example. And that's where we begin to see maybe some key differences, especially in the polling. Early on, polling in Iowa showed that, Donald Trump always had that substantial lead. Nikki Haley followed. In New Hampshire, it's similar, but the gap is actually a lot closer than what it was here in Iowa, where it really seemed like there was no other option than for the former president to come out with the win. In New Hampshire, it's definitely a lot closer. We're sitting right now, latest polling showing the former president right around 39% of supporters, likely primary voters. Nikki Haley is right around 32%. So we're really going to see a tight race there. I think that when we're talking about how well Ron DeSantis did in Iowa, it might be more of an uphill climb when we see what he can do in New Hampshire, because the latest poll shows he's gathering just about 5% of the vote.
I do want to talk about those who came second and third. First, Governor DeSantis of Florida, who came second. He had invested a lot of time and money in the Iowa campaign. He was hoping that he could run Trump close, but eventually the distance was far too much, almost 30 percentage points between Mr. Trump and Mr. DeSantis. Where does DeSantis go from here? There is New Hampshire up next week, where the voters are much more moderate. They are not as conservative as Iowans are. And then it goes to South Carolina, which is Nikki Haley's home state. So where does the campaign shape up for Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida after what we saw last night in Iowa?
So it really is going to come down to how he can do in New Hampshire. And it's interesting, the strategy here that we're beginning to see that the candidates have, because Ron DeSantis today is traveling to South Carolina, where we're seeing Nikki Haley, for example, go straight to New Hampshire. Their primary is exactly a week from today. So you begin to see how important South Carolina is for Governor Ron DeSantis. Again, it's the home territory of Nikki Haley. So if Ron DeSantis can pull away with a win in South Carolina, he really could be in a good position heading in to Super Tuesday in March. So it's interesting in that regard. Nikki Haley, was asked what she thought about Ron DeSantis' strategy of going to South Carolina first, and she said, maybe someone should let the campaign for Ron DeSantis know that New Hampshire is next, so we're going to New Hampshire after this. But, Ron DeSantis, it should be said as well, will be going to New Hampshire later this evening as well. There's going to be a town hall there in New Hampshire. So he is playing both, but you can see a clear focus as he goes down the line to South Carolina, where he believes a lot of voters will be more attracted to his campaign than Nikki Haley's.
Let's also talk about Nikki Haley. All through 2023, she was polling in single digits. She had very bad field organization in Iowa. But to come up with 19% of the votes in the caucuses is pretty impressive. She's got strong states coming up in New Hampshire, as you said a moment ago. She's polling almost neck and neck with Donald Trump. And then there is South Carolina, which is her home state. She's been former governor there. Where does her campaign go from here on?
I think that for the Haley campaign, it really all comes down to New Hampshire now, because the expectations are pretty high. I think that after Iowa, you can get a sense that there's maybe some disappointment, because there was an expectation with that latest poll of Haley coming in second right before the Iowa caucus that maybe she could outperform Ron DeSantis. I think in that specific poll, it was only one part of the picture, because the other part was the enthusiasm. And we saw that the enthusiasm from Ron DeSantis supporters was a lot higher than what we were seeing from Nikki Haley. At least that's what the statistics were showing. That's what the polling said. So maybe that played an edge for Ron DeSantis. But again, Nikki Haley really has all on the line here in New Hampshire. And as you mentioned, they're sort of neck and neck, Haley and Trump. So it really is one of those tightest races that we're seeing right now in terms of polling. That could be one of the most challenging ones right now for the former president. But if the former president gets ahead of New Hampshire and comes away with a win next week, there really isn't many other states where you could even consider them battlegrounds for Haley or Ron DeSantis to really get into the lead. So if former President Trump wins in New Hampshire, it could be a clear pathway to the nomination as well. We also heard Haley, though, last night during her speech, sort of make that comparison between herself and former President Trump and current President Joe Biden, saying that she's the antidote for, a potential rematch between Trump and Biden. And she, played up the argument that a lot of Americans are tired with the current president and also the former president. She went on to say, in quote part, that Trump and Biden both lack a vision for our country's future, because both are consumed by the past, by investigations, vendettas, and by grievances. And she went on to say that America deserves better.
And finally, Ivan, let's talk about the fourth candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy, who dropped out of the race after last night's results. He, of course, came from nowhere. He polled about 8 percentage points in Iowa. He's quickly endorsed Donald Trump as well. Why is it that his campaign, and he was trying to pitch himself as, the inheritor of the MAGA legacy, the inheritor of Donald Trump's politics, why didn't that resonate with Iowans?
Well, and Ramaswamy actually spent a lot of time in Iowa, and he went to a lot of counties, meeting with so many potential voters and voters who attended those caucuses. I think that what's interesting specifically with Ramaswamy is, he came in fourth. He dropped out of the race, as we know, and then endorsed, quickly the former president. I think that when we are talking, though, about the future and where we can see, the supporters of Ramaswamy go, in that poll that we've been talking about for New Hampshire, it still had Ramaswamy in the race. It still had Chris Christie, for example, in the race. So we'd assume now that with the endorsement for Ramaswamy of Trump, that a lot of those voters, a lot of his base, will be heading directly to the former president. So let's see if that gives him a boost in New Hampshire. But on the other hand, Chris Christie was polling right around 12% in New Hampshire. So again, now we'll see if that is good news for Nikki Haley as well. But for Ramaswamy, I think you look a year back, not too many people even knew who Ramaswamy was. And today, I think it is an accomplishment that he even finished ahead of the likes of, for example, Asa Hutchinson.
All right, CNN's Ivan Rodriguez live for us from Des Moines, Iowa. Thank you very much for joining us.